All
So
righty. Well,
not productive.
it's about 5 minutes of nine. We'll kind of do the pseudo official kickoff here for the meeting today. My name is Thad Dimkowski. Those of you who don't know me, clearly haven't been paying attention over the last 20 years. But I'm the vice president of our merry group here, the Connecticut GIS Network. Our good friend Kayvon Harris, who is the president, is unfortunately unable to be with us. He had some personal business he needed to attend to, but I'm happy to step in as the vice president. We kind of keep things geographically separate so that if ever any, devious entity tries to take out the network, they can only get one of us at a time. But nonetheless, so want to welcome everyone to our winter webinar. We do this obviously once a year where we kind of offer, because of the weather and who knows what the driving conditions would ever be during a February meeting, and still wanting to make kind of our quarterly gathering, we offer this just as a way so that we can still get together, still have an opportunity to kind of share ideas, and share information and just, professionally get together and kind of reestablish those networks, and connections that we have. So today we have a really, really good schedule. I'm very, very excited about it. We're going to hear a little bit about some story mapping with Survey 123. We're going to hear from a really good friend of mine, Miss Ashley Hitt. She's going to talk about the importance of professional networks. So kind of what I was just alluding to. And then we're also going to have a presentation on drones. Obviously, they're becoming pervasive throughout our industry. So really, really excited to hear from these folks and what they have to say and share with us. Also want to bring to your attention this morning, we're going to be holding steering committee elections. So we do have several openings, and we'll go over those openings when we kind of get to that point in the agenda. And some folks have, I guess, some initial questions maybe in their mind swirling that, if I do put my hat in the ring, what does, what does that, mean? What is my obligation for that if I decide to do that? Um, it's really a pretty minor contribution to the network in terms of time, but it does mean a whole lot to the folks who kind of participate in the network. We have regular steering committee meetings where we get together, we kind of put together these quarterly meetings. We also participate in putting together the GIS Day event, which many of you have attended in the past. And we also provide feedback to the GIO's office as well. So there's a piece of that. So it's really, it's really a great way to give back to the industry and give back to your peers within the state. So I highly recommend becoming a member of the steering committee. And as I said, we'll go over the open roles and available roles when we get to that point. And before we kind of kick off officially here, I just want to give a kind of an official thank you to Sarah Morse and her team for putting together today's agenda. As I said, I'm very, very excited to hear from some of these folks. We have some great topics. It's not it's not an easy task, I'd say, of putting together one of these meetings. It does take a little bit of effort. And as a steering committee member, you'd be on a team of people to put this together. So it's not like you're kind of doing it on your own. But Sarah and her team have really done a great team with today's meeting. So I want to give them kudos and send them a big round of applause and say thank you for that. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Sarah. Sarah's going to lead us into our first presentation, and I'll be talking to you again as we get closer to the election period. So thank you so much for attending this morning. We appreciate you being here. Otherwise, it'd be just my loud mouth echoing in the void. But do want to thank you for being here. I hope you enjoy the meeting, and you'll hear from me again later. Sarah, it's all yours, my friend.
Thanks, Matt. I just want to do a quick reminder to just make sure you're muted, just so we don't distract our presenters. So first off, we are going to hear from Alexis Freudenberg. She's a GIS analyst at Ty & Bond. She's going to be showing us her presentation about utilizing StoryMaps and Survey 123 to deliver comprehensive guidance on stormwater-related infrastructure. It's all yours, Alexis.
Thanks, Sarah. Sorry for the long title. Let me know when you can see my screen. Good.
Not
Okay.
yet,
No.
Nope.
but you gotta make sure you will.
Share.
There we
There
go.
we
Something's
go.
happening.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Alexis. I'm a GIS analyst with Ty and Bond, and today I'm going to be showing off something we did for the town of Longmeadow. In Massachusetts, but while this project is based in Massachusetts, I think it could be easily applied to any town or similar projects in Connecticut or anywhere really for that matter. So this is the Longmeadow Green Infrastructure Design Story Map. I'm going to highlight how we utilized story maps to compile a bunch of different information into one singular place to serve as a comprehensive client deliverable for all things stormwater related. So just a little background, the town of Longmeadow was seeking to advance and promote the use of green infrastructure within their town. And Ty and Bond was tasked with providing this support through planning and design efforts, designing guidelines, a BMP matrix, and then the story map that we're looking at right now as the final deliverable. So the goal of the story map was to act as a resource for all parts of that project and to assist with future planning of green infrastructure throughout the town. And just a disclaimer, there's a lot in here that I personally did not come up with or write myself. We worked closely with a lot of planners on the green infrastructure, Green Street, and best management practice content. So if you are interested in the reasoning or the question, or have questions behind any of that, I can give you contact information afterwards to discuss that stuff further. So the first section of the story map is the introduction. The bottom line here, and the goal is to just explain that the story map is to serve as an interactive tool, one singular place for a plethora of information, as well as a tool for future development. We have a background section which outlines local and statewide guidelines, policies, and regulations currently in place that are relevant to the project and any future projects. Again, this is referencing Massachusetts content. However, this could easily be swapped out for Connecticut-specific content. So this flowchart on the right is actually an ArcGIS Online map. I drew these boxes in the middle of nowhere and just organize them to look like a flow chart. So we have like the town of Longmeadow specific stuff on the left and then the regional and statewide stuff on the right. And then I just attributed the boxes with links to reference what the box is talking about. So here we have a link to the EPI website, and then we have a couple links to some PDFs for Longmeadow. And again, the intent here was to just provide one organized place for users to find a variety of applicable information. And because these are in an ArcGIS Online web map, the chart can easily be updated with new links or added to as new documentation comes out. The next section just goes over the audience and driver. So the goal is to assist and streamline stakeholders such as municipal staff, developers, residents, consultants, etc., to understand the various components that go into planning for green streets and green infrastructure. On that note, we give a definition of what green infrastructure is, and we have a nice little graphic in the background here, which is in Connecticut. This is a bioswale at the Edgewood School in New Haven. And then we go into the definition of green streets. I used a slider map in the back of this, so like a before and after, and this is referencing near map imagery to really emphasize the difference between pre-Green Street and post-Green Street implementation. So the left image was taken in 2019 prior to any Green Street implementation, and then the right image, if you slide over, you can see the Green Street infrastructure all along the street right here. Installed in 2024. And obviously the time of year these photos were taken definitely helps in this comparison. This section just goes over some solution intentions, so some more background and definitions. And the graphic in the back was produced in-house by our design studio to add a visual representation and to try and help keep readers engaged. This brief little section just goes over some green infrastructure examples in nearby areas in New England and New York to, again, just help visualize everything that we've been talking about so far and help bring these terms to life. So if you click on these, you can see a nice, beautiful rain garden in Dover, New Hampshire. This section goes into the 2 sites in Longmeadow that were proposed green infrastructure designs as part of the project. So they picked these sites as part of the project, and each site had different factors and constraints that helped drive the different proposed green infrastructure layouts, as explained on the left. And then I used a slider again to just show the before and after of what's being proposed. So you can see here, this is what the site looks like as is, existing conditions, and then you can see all of the proposed infrastructure here. And this data was actually imported from CAD and just reconfigured a little bit for GIS purposes. And then we did include these little sign pop-ups linked directly to these fact sheets, just another way to keep track of various moving parts and more information as it relates to the town's green infrastructure efforts. And then this is the second site with all the proposed infrastructure, same thing going on, go over the existing conditions, the different constraints that they looked at, and then you can look at it all here. So we can see the bioswale and the bioswale pop-up. This next section is just some educational signage that's going to get proposed at each of those sites. So this provides visitors as well as readers of the story map the purpose behind green infrastructure and how it's going to provide environmental benefits. I chose a slider map here again to just try and help keep the story map interactive as people are scrolling through it. And both are very beautiful images, so I wanted to make sure I showed both. So that's what those look like. All right, getting into the BMP matrix. Again, this was prepared by the stormwater planning team, but ultimately it was designed to help determine which, if any, BMPs are best suited for a specific site based on a variety of criteria. So this goes over applicability, benefit, target pollutant categories, while also considering siting requirements such as soil and groundwater limitations, water quality treatment efficiency, and construction opportunities or constraints. So right below this, we provided a breakdown of all of the different BMPs and their respective categories. This is an ArcGIS Online map again, so these hexagons are just kind of in random space, and I organized them to kind of look like these little honeycomb things. And instead of a link, I actually attached the PDF fact sheets directly to each feature. So if you click the green roof, you get this huge green roof fact sheet, ton of information. You can learn all about it. And that each one has its own. So again, users can easily access all of the necessary information all in one place and learn more about each BMP before getting into the final section where the BMPs get applied to your specific sites. So The BMP identification tool, the goal here is to have applicants go through this process and fill this out as a requirement for any local land use or environmental permit applications. So we used this section to outline the steps prior to actually getting into the tool. So step one is to access the ArcGIS Online web application below. It's not actually a web application, it's an experience builder, but web application sounds a little more user-friendly to the public. And step two is locate your project site by using the search bar. Once you've located your site, take note of your environmental constraints located on or near your project site. Before filling out the form. And then once you're ready, click within your project site to launch the pop-up and use the click here link to launch the form. Complete the form, which includes a series of questions that filter out BMPs relative to your answers. And then once you've completed the form and submitted it, a copy gets sent to the town as well as the user's email. And of course, we provided a little disclaimer a few different times. I think it's here and in the survey and in the email, just to make sure that users know this is high level, not to be solely relied on. The idea is to use this for planning. Once a project is started, the stormwater designer is obviously responsible for meeting local, state, and federal laws. So this is the experience builder. It's pretty simple, nothing crazy, although there is a lot of data in here, but the goal was to keep it simple yet functional for all users. We didn't want anyone to get overwhelmed with using this technology that's embedded in here. So this section on the right, the map layers, contains all of the relevant data for stormwater planning. So these layers are all pulling directly from Mass GIS feature services. So again, these can easily get swapped out for Connecticut feature services. But the goal here was to have live data. This was super important for the town because ultimately there's no upkeep needed to ensure that the app is properly functioning and data is always up to date since it's pulling directly from the latest and greatest state data. The only potential upkeep might be the layer links changing and having to swap a new one in, but we felt that is a much better alternative than having to push up and constantly overwrite data as you get updates. Okay, let's go look at an address. Bear with me, I found that this can be a little slow while I'm screen sharing. Or maybe it's gonna work great today. So 94 Magnolia Circle. Already you can see that there are some wetlands present. If you turn on the FEMA flood zones, you can see that there's a flood zone present. If you turn on the soil classifications, again, give it a little second for it to load. You can see that the site is covered and it's stiff soil. So this is where users can just familiarize themselves with their site as best they can, take note of environmental constraints located on your project site or near your project site. Once you're all set, you can click within the parcel to get that click here for BMP identification tool link. This parcel pop-up was generated by MassGIS, but I left it as is because I felt like this was still pretty helpful for developers. You can see the lot size, building value, etc. So once you click the link, Survey 123 launches. We chose Survey 123 because of the public-facing aspect. So it's very user-friendly, even if you aren't very tech-savvy. The survey was configured to have pre-populated information directly from the parcel. So as you can see, this top section, site information, has everything pulling directly from the parcel that we clicked. Your information section is pretty self-explanatory. And then the rest of the survey was designed by the stormwater planning team based on that BMP matrix I keep talking about. So there are a series of questions related to your site constraints and conditions, and then in turn, it produces different recommendations based on your inputs. So it's a smart form. And basically, there are many, many rules set within the survey. So different inputs produce different recommendations. So are there existing impervious surfaces on the project site? Click yes. It asks, will the project result in a net increase to impervious area? If you click yes, this project is considered a mix of redevelopment and new development. If you click no, the project is just considered redevelopment. And then with each, it goes into these different sections. So go over water quality, is groundwater or bedrock mapped? No. It gives you these recommendations. And if you click yes, it gives you similar recommendations, but a little different. And same with is this space limited for surface water features? If you click yes, you get these. If you click no, you get a few more. Goes into peak flow. Keep going and going. Once you're done, this gets filled out to the user's knowledge, as best as they can. And then once you're done and you click submit, we developed an automated email script notification that will go to both the user, so the email that gets entered up at the top of the form, and then a few town staff like the planning and engineering departments. So the script pulls all of the recommendations, just the recommendations, like in these sections, not all of the questions. And it just puts it into a nice formatted Word document. And then the Word document gets converted to a PDF and attached to an email. And I can show you what that looks like here. So this is what the email looks like. It just includes like your site information, slightly different address than what I clicked, but and then some more text, that disclaimer again, and then where to refer your questions. And then if you click the PDF, this is what the PDF looks like. So it has your site information, the stuff that you inputted, which is me, and then all of your project details. So like those final recommendations listed down here. And again, this goes to the planning and engineering department as well. Okay, back to the story map. I think the last section just goes over the contact information in case they missed it in the email. So yeah, on that note, the town was very pleased with how everything turned out. They were really excited to get this out to the public as soon as possible, and we haven't had any complaints yet. The story map was a great way to just contain and compile a massive amount of relevant information all in one place and incorporate a few different user-friendly GIS components to help meet their goals, and ultimately just serve as a super interactive and helpful deliverable for years to come, hopefully, for anything related to stormwater and green infrastructure. Are there any questions?
I think I'd be remiss if I didn't ask at least one question today. So I love this. I think you did a fantastic job on this. I guess my question to you is, so we know there's a lot of different options when you're trying to do an environment like this or an application like this. What made you choose the story map versus, say, an experience builder or a hub site or something like that? And that's not to criticize. Like I said, I think you did a fantastic job with this. I really do. But I'm just curious why you chose the story map versus the other ones. What was the draw?
I feel like this story map just allowed for like the different components to be displayed in different ways. So like we're allowed to use the slider map for this section. We're allowed to just put plain images in here from the design studio with like some text. And then, obviously like embedding the experience builder in here, but still allowing like sections for the steps to outline so that people can like really read up on it and feel comfortable before diving into something.
Great job.
Thank you.
Alexis, there's one question in chat. Where does the story map live? Is it on the town's ArcGIS Online account or is it through Tie and Bond?
It's through Time Bond right now, but it is public. We're not sure on that part. I think it's probably going to stay because we have the email script notification kind of running on our end too. So, yeah, it's in ours. But it could get moved to the towns because everything is pulling from MassGIS data, so it's essentially not relying on anything that we have. It was just built in our org.
Mike, do you also have a question?
Yeah, I do. Because I've got made host, I can't raise my hand. But great job, Alexis. I think that was a great presentation, and I love seeing some of the interesting ways you use StoryMap that I've never thought of doing. And they're kind of like straightforward solutions, like with the way you use the map tools to kind of get a map in there to display almost like smart art and PowerPoint. So you could have some clickable links and features and make it no more than just a figure. So that was clever. And I also want to give a shout out to you had they had like an info point layer, like click, it was like a little picture of a clipboard. And that's where you click to find your pop-ups. And I remember making some maps and I'd have points, lines, polygons. And I'm like, this is so clunky. Everything's clicky. There's 3 layer. I didn't like it. But this is like the obvious solution. It's just great. It's so well done.
Thank
I
you.
I do have a question on, so Dad, I think we were touching upon this. One folk asked about hosting, where's the site hosted? And Dad was asking about why this over Experience Builder, maybe some other tools. And that was what crossed my mind too. I was looking, I work on the Westcog website and it's pretty messy right now. And we're trying to figure out how to host things. And when I look at this map builder, it screams website. You got the nice header up top, and you got like almost different tools. And I wonder I don't know how map builder plays out in the Google search tools. Like if you're looking for this map, I noticed the URL is specific. It's like a unique StoryMaps URL. I think Experience Builder might have tools that let you have a unique URL. And I'm thinking about all the small nonprofits and groups that don't have a website. Maybe they have somebody who might have access to this. They could set up a pseudo site. I don't think I have a question. What am I doing? I'm just random. You gave me a lot to think about, and I just observed all this. So,
Yeah. This link is going to get put on their website so that like developers can go access it public too if they wanted to. I don't know if they have any intention of it popping up like in Google searches because I mean, I guess if you live in Longmeadow, you can go to your Longmeadow town website to find it, but that is a good point. Something to think about.
Right. Like one of the things that I see, okay, so I guess this is my question here or thought about is the identification tool. Like that's a tool. So the town might have I don't know if you can even make a direct link to that part of the story map directly, but the town might be like, you want to use the tool? Like here's the link to the tool. But the tool is
Right.
currently embedded in the story map,
Right.
further down. So it's like every step, I just think of like every internet user is like an ADHD user. I feel like they're like, give everything 2 seconds. How far are they willing to go down a website? And these are the things I think about when I'm making web pages.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. They do, I mean, and I guess the goal there maybe is to like force them to learn about it. So you have to look through the whole story map to get to the tool. But
Right.
yeah,
Right.
that was a design choice, I think, on their end. But I do see what you're saying. Like, it could get a little annoying. Like, I don't want to scroll through this whole thing to just get to the form.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna pass the buck. I do have one other question, but let's see if anyone else has another question.
There was one in the chat. If you can share the link to the story map, if it is public, if you can just throw that into the chat, Alexis.
Yeah, of course.
Mike, I think you're still good to go for your next question.
Okay. The near map tool, was that an integrated near map feature? Like you just went near map, choose 2 dates, and you were up and running, or
These are
the slider?
static images, that I added.
Oh,
Like
I
went to near map downloaded the image for each year for my area, and then I just added them and added the slider so that you could,
That's cool.
looks like a map, but they are just images.
That's great. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay,
That's it. Thank you,
thank
Alexis.
you.
That was great.
I don't know if I know how to stop sharing. Okay.
All right. Next, if I know we're a little bit early, but if Ashley's ready, we're going to be hearing from Ashley Hitt, who's a GISP. She's the Senior Vice President of Program Management at Cultivate Geospatial Solutions, and she's going to be talking to us about the importance of a professional network.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. I do have to say I am also glad that this is virtual, as I am not 100%. I was like, as long as my voice makes it half an hour, everything will be fine. So y'all can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Excellent. So I'm happy to be with you all today to talk a little bit more about professional network and just geospatial associations in general. And the talk is kind of like winning the lottery with geospatial associations, because it doesn't matter if you are involved at the local level or regional association, national, international, they all have so much to give to each of us as much as we have to give to them through volunteer roles. So just wanted to kind of talk about different journey perspectives. And then since each of us are in different types of organizations and things that we can do, want to do, are motivated by, how do we take all of that into account to really make the most of it? So today, just kind of following that lottery theme as far as buying the ticket, learning the game. And I know that kind of seems a little counterintuitive to learn about what you're doing after you buy the ticket, but I promise there's a reason for it. Then moving to actually playing the game and then cashing that ticket. So when I talk about just jumping in and buying that ticket, some of you may be familiar with EURISA, which recently rebranded to the Geospatial Professional Network, or the GPN. And so about 15 years ago, I had seen a post that EURISA at the time was starting a new initiative for young professionals, and they wanted to get applications from young GIS professionals on how the association could better engage young professionals, increase the numbers in the association, and then better understand the concerns of future GIS leaders. And so I had never heard of EURISA. I didn't know anything about it, but I went ahead and jumped in, talked to my boss at the time and said, hey, I think this is something that I could contribute in. It's something I'm interested in. And he was like, absolutely, go for it. He was like, what's EURISA? I was like, I have no idea, but I think I want to apply. So I jumped in and I bought the ticket. And it was amazing. I got selected to the first iteration of at the time, EURISA Vanguard Cabinet, which is now the GPN Vanguard Cabinet. And it was an amazing experience because it really allowed me to start building that professional network, that community, not only of other young GIS professionals on that cabinet, but also meeting so many more people through EURISA, people who were looking for solutions like I was, people who were trying to do more professional development, expand their network, expand their skills, both technical and more essential leadership skills. And one of the other big things that I realized was my boss at the time was so supportive of professional development, because he realized the importance that it wasn't just for me to grow me as the individual, but it also helped and supported our whole organization. So I know there can be kind of either misnomers or misunderstandings about, oh, my employee is spending time doing work for or volunteering for a geospatial association, but there are benefits to your organization as a whole, regardless of what type of organization it is, whether it's local government, a private sector, nonprofit, academia. Everyone can benefit from staff being part of a geospatial association. So that was something that was really great to know, that my boss at the time understood and supported all of us on the GIS team as far as what was available, what were we interested in, and being able to move forward. So as far as learning the game, there are all kinds of levels of involvement to geospatial associations. So whether that is a series of short-term tasks, being able to commit to a committee for being a volunteer, being a chair of a committee, the webinars and workshops that are available, conference planning, or even moving up to a board of directors position. So based on what you are able to do, what are you able to commit to, whether it's, hey, this quarter is so busy for me, there is no way I can participate on a committee, but maybe I can do a little bit. Maybe the association needs some help developing a graphic or a series of graphics. Hey, I can do that in a few hours one night, weekend, and take care of that. Or maybe they want a fact sheet created about a certain type of, using drones, or about professional development. Maybe there's something with a recent natural disaster that I can put a fact sheet on how our organization helped either contribute a tool or a solution or helped bring people together. There are all kinds of different short-term tasks that are available, volunteer opportunities. With all the committees that are available at different associations, whether it's marketing, maybe a policy advisory, planning committees, or conferences rather, there's all different kinds of committees that are usually available at all different sizes and types of geospatial associations. Webinars and workshops like the one that we're on right now, whether it is bringing together a series of webinars and presentations, or it's something like a half a day or a full day of a single topic and being able to contribute there. Or perhaps you're not ready to do or teach or instruct a full workshop, but maybe you can help review one. If you have experience in something adjacent to that workshop, maybe you can volunteer to review it, ask questions, see what parts maybe need a little bit more explanation, provide feedback to that instructor. So there's all types of opportunities there. We have a lot of conferences and events throughout the year. All the geospatial associations do, whether they are virtual, in-person, hybrid, there's a ton of opportunities. So getting involved on the conference planning side, being able to say, hey, what do I want to help curate as far as content, hot topics, who are great speakers that I have heard of or from that I feel like the association I'm a part of will be really receptive to and be happy that they were able to be a part of that. And then certainly board of directors, being able to provide more strategic and vision of where the association is going. So again, whether that is local, state, regional, national, international, there are opportunities to be involved and help give back in so many different ways with so much variety of time, based on where you're at in your career, what you feel you can give, want to give, and any of those motivations all in between. So again, as far as learning the game, just tips and tricks. The first one is to know your motivations. Why do I want to be a part of this group? Whether it's from a member perspective, a volunteer perspective, a leader perspective, why am I doing this? Is it for GISP contribution points? Is it because I do want to increase my professional development? I want to have more people in my network. Am I looking for recognition for things that I'm able to contribute or be a part of? Am I looking to find something that's a better fit for my time and what I'm able to give? So knowing your motivations, and this will also be important if you are a supervisor and you are helping to empower your GIS staff of getting more involved in associations. What are their motivations? What do they like about the GIS world? What do they enjoy about their geospatial work or the association? Some studies have shown there's a very distinct break in, if you look at associations and the number of people that are members, there's a certain percent of people that are very happy to be members, and that's it. Then you have a group of them who are interested in being volunteers, people who are helping put together and curate content for webinars and events, people who are volunteering on committees. And you've also got another group who is wanting to lead and help do strategic innovation. So there's a consistent study of how people kind of break down. And so being able to say, I know I had not an issue, but it was, it took time for me to understand as a leader of a GIS team that my motivations are different. And just because I feel very strongly connected to a particular association, that doesn't mean it's for everybody, and that's okay. Everybody's got their own motivation. So how can I help as a GIS supervisor support the staff that I'm working to help empower and help them grow in their way and the way that's the most important to them. The second one is to be realistic about what you can give. This would be time, energy, effort, and understanding what do I have available and what can I give to that time. And that kind of rolls into setting those expectations and sharing them. Things change, and that's okay. So maybe one year I can really give time to help planning a conference or an event. And the next year I know I've got specific deadlines, I've got family things I'm working on. I can set that expectation and say, hey, I am all in this next year, but then I'm going to be taking some time away. Or maybe you commit to something and something changes. Things change both positively and negatively. And so being able to say, hey, I committed to this, but I don't feel like I'm going to be able to give to this what I want to make it succeed, share that. It is okay. Things happen and they happen to everybody. So being able to set that expectation of how I can be involved or what I'm looking to get out of something, share that. It'll be great. Another option is checking out the opportunities, because there are so many different associations and so many different committees and so many different events. Don't feel like you have to be pigeonholed into a certain thing. And that includes being able to grow your professional network. So I know one of the things when I first started at ERISA or the GPN and being a member was there were so many committees. I was like, I don't know where I fit in. So for a series of a few months, I went to almost every committee meeting I could find just to see what it was like, what the people were like, what were they doing, what goals were they working towards. And I kind of bounced around until I was able to say, hey, I found a couple that I feel like I can really contribute to and be a part of. So check it out. There's no, hey, you went to one meeting, you're here for life. I mean, nothing crazy like that. So check out the various opportunities, see where you fit, and things may change over time. I know ERISA, or now the GPN, has a policy advisory committee. And when I first started out as a young professional 15 years ago, I didn't really know how that applied to me. I knew what the work they were doing was important, but I didn't see how I could help contribute to that. And so now, further on in my career, being able to say, yes, that piece of legislation is going to impact these clients, these customers, these governments, or these agencies. Now I know how to speak up on that. Or different pieces of federal initiatives where we're trying to bring data together. Perhaps it's the NSDI. So things change as we grow and change with them, change our organizations, our roles. Check out all the various opportunities that are available. And then the last piece of tips and tricks would say is to use your secret talents. We're here for geospatial and GIS, but all of us have different secret talents as well that are not geospatial related. Perhaps you're good at website content administration. Perhaps you're good at photography and could take photos at an in-person event to post. Maybe you really like doing social media and can help get the word out about certain things, or developing graphics. Maybe you're great at copy editing and can look at documents or technical papers, white papers or workshops that your association will put together. So use your secret talents, let people know what you like to do and enjoy doing, and then people can help connect and make the right fit. So now that we're looking to play the game, as I mentioned at the beginning, there's individual benefits and there are organizational benefits. And being able to see and combine your motivations with what will help your organization can really help build something strong for you, your team. If you're a one-person GIS shop, all of those will be beneficial to both you and your organization. So, of course, one of the individual benefits is going to be growing your professional network. As you work with people on events or conferences, as you develop webinars together, as you talk about solutions that you're working on, and being able to say, oh, hey, I saw Alexis give this great presentation. I think you should talk to her. You can grow your professional network by being a part of a committee, even things short term, being able to get your name out there, as well as learning about others. You're continuing your professional education and training, whether it is on the technical side, the leadership side. There are a lot more options and opportunities available than there used to be. For instance, the GPN has a GIS Leadership Academy. it's very specific to leadership training, but it brings in the challenges and situations that we face and see as GIS professionals. So being able to tailor a leadership training into the situations that we specifically see that we can talk to each other about, there's that type of professional education and training available as well. Also on the individual side, potentially finding your next career opportunity. Some people are very happy where they're at. Some people are looking to grow. Some people have exhausted what they feel they can give to one position. And so if you are looking for your next career opportunity, being able to have a network to say, hey, I'm looking for something. And that works both ways. Your organization might be searching for a new staff member. You can connect with somebody you've already met and have known through an association, and you can hire them. So it's both on the individual side as well as the organizational side. Being a trusted subject matter expert, um, if you are focused on a particular area or solution, being able to present that on webinars, conferences, and get your name out there as well as the work that you're doing, whether it's you individually or your organization as a whole, you become a trusted subject matter expert. So when somebody has a question on a specific thing, they know who to go to. And then, of course, getting recognized for your efforts to the organization and the industry. There are different volunteer awards for donating your time and energy towards an association. There's different awards for solutions that have been developed and being recognized for efforts there. And then that helps lead into some of those organizational benefits. Again, finding new staff you already know. If you have a new position you need to hire for or replace someone, looking for a new opportunity, you already know a bunch of people. So whether it's you reaching out to your network to say, hey, my organization is hiring for an analyst, a developer, a manager, a coordinator, being able to reach out to that network, maybe some of those people you already know are interested in that position and that can help benefit your organization, or they can recommend people who do, or you know people through your committee work that you can say, oh, hey, this person might be a really good fit. They're really detail oriented. That's exactly what we need in this role. Or perhaps you need someone who's more visionary of thinking of ideas that can be executed. Whatever the case is, being able to know people through associations and your professional network will benefit your organization as well. You're also able to connect with so many vendors and partners. I know when I first started and went to conferences, it was like, oh, that expo hall, that's the room where they're going to try to sell me stuff. It has become so much more because it's the place where I can learn about what people are doing with new solutions. How are they innovating? And then as my organization being able to say, hey, we don't have the staff to execute some new project, but we could partner with a vendor short term to get something developed that we can maintain. We can't build it, but we can maintain it. Or even partnering together on certain projects. If you are in the private sector, being able to connect and partner with other firms to be able to say, hey, let's go in on this project together. Let's file a proposal together that, I'll work on this section, you all work on this content and bring it together. So really being able to connect with vendors and partners, past, present, and future. And then again, being able to, I don't need anything right now, and I don't know that there's a fit now, but we have made that connection. So when something comes up, we're not starting cold. So that's another one of those organizational benefits. Identifying lessons learned and best practices has become huge. Being able to go to different virtual or in-person events, learning from others about what they're doing, what worked well, what didn't work well, what do we wish we had known before we started this project, and sharing those. One of the great things about the geospatial industry is most people are very willing to talk about their experiences. They don't hold it back. They are very willing to share. Most GIS people are pretty laid back. And so it's been a great experience to reach out and say, hey, can you tell me how you did that? Absolutely. When do you want to talk? So that has been just so refreshing because I know that's not true of all industries. And so we have something really unique within geospatial about how well we're able to work together and reach out for assistance, support, anything. It's been great. A couple more on the organizational side, just being able to innovate and have staff be up to date on geospatial techniques. I know sometimes people are looking at the dollar amounts versus the actual return on the investment, but being able to send staff to go learn about what things are happening getting your staff additional technical training, again, the leadership training, to be able to then say, hey, I can bring this back. Oh, I saw that this city, local state government is working on X. I think we can do that, and that will help us alleviate this pain point. And now you're bringing that return on investment to your organization or agency. And then getting recognized for solutions and accomplishments. For instance, the GPN, formerly ERISA, has the ESIG awards, or Exemplary Systems in Government. And so being able to be recognized for innovation, connecting, collaboration, different systems that are available. And then those types of awards are available so many different places. So why not apply and say, hey, we've developed this really cool thing. We think it has changed how people operate, how other organizations or agencies are using GIS or geospatial, and there's a way to get recognized for those solutions and accomplishments. So with cashing the ticket, this is another big thing. Don't keep things a secret. You can't fix what you don't know about. And so whether that is you as a supervisor trying to empower your staff to make sure that you know what's going on with them, what's challenging them, being able to have those open discussions, or from the side of, hey, I created this and I want to tell everybody. Tell everybody. Because one of the things with being a part of an association or even just presenting at a conference is if you're somebody who gets nervous about public speaking, especially at a GIS conference, the biggest piece of advice I ever received was when you're at a geospatial event and people come to your presentation, they want to be there. They want to learn about what you have to say. They're excited to see your solution. And so that really helped take the edge off when I was doing early presentations. So that was one of the biggest pieces of advice that I got was people want to be there. So it's not so much of a nervous energy anymore because it's not like, oh, I'm going to disappoint somebody if I say something wrong. It's like, no, people want to be there and they want to see what you have to say and learn about your solution and how you did things. So don't keep things a secret, and be able to help empower your staff as well as your organization. But the other thing that happens with kind of cashing that ticket with geospatial associations is as you're developing that professional network, people will come to you and say, oh, I heard you're the person that I need to talk to about this topic. Somebody saw your presentation and they think that I can learn from you. The other part of that is people saying, oh, I need to introduce you to this person because they're going to be a great contact for you. Maybe not today, but maybe down the road as there's a new project that needs to get done, some other work that needs to be done at our agency. So that professional network really helps build both you, the individual, and again, the organization that you work for. So again, with cashing the ticket, one of the big things, again, that people look at is the dollar amount. How much does it cost to be a member? And so one of the best situations that I came across probably about 10 years ago was the organization that I was with was looking to migrate from on-prem to the cloud. And myself as the GIS director and our IT director, we're like, you know what, we don't have the research on this. We don't know where to start. And I said, hey, let me contact some people that I know through, at the time, ERISA or GPN. I reached out to 10 people, and within 24 hours, I had 9 responses out of 10 saying, oh, hey, Ashley, here's what we did. Oh, I can connect you with our IT director. And then so maybe our IT people can talk together. Here's what we wish we had known before. Oh, here's where we jumped in and shouldn't have. Oh, here's the process that we ended up using. Here's the timeline. They provided so much content just with me sending a simple email asking for any kind of feedback or insights that they had. So being able to get that kind of information that decreased the time that myself or my IT director needed to do research, to try things, to fail at things, and then try something else. The big thing there is that the annual cost of that membership literally paid for itself within a single hour. And so not just looking at the dollar amount of what it costs to be a member of an association, but looking at the return on investment. How much salary time are you going to save by being able to connect with someone you've met through that association in your network, and being able to connect those dots more efficiently, faster, and more innovatively than if you tried to do it on your own. So again, the individual benefit and the organizational benefit as well. One question, again, that comes up is looking from like a CFO or somebody who is in charge of budget who says, hey, what if we spend funds to advance our employees, then they leave? Whether that's through the association, various training that they're doing or being involved in, attending a conference. Well, the biggest thing that we can say to that is, what if we don't spend funds to advance them and they stay as employees? That means they're not growing, they're not innovating, they're not bringing new solutions or lessons learned to our organization. And so, again, that dual benefit of you as the individual growing, as well as helping grow your organization or agency, making things more efficient, getting cool stuff created for residents of your locale. There's so many ways to help grow both you, the person, and the organization. So now what? We've heard about being a part of association. What are the different options that are available? And again, all of us come from diverse organizations, experiences, how long we have been in our careers. So let's say you are just getting started. Perhaps you're a young professional, an emerging professional, or you have changed careers and you are just getting started in geospatial. So I would say check out different committees, check out different volunteer opportunities, see where you best fit based on, again, your motivations and what you feel like you can contribute best to. Network and connect and ask questions. Again, most geospatial people are pretty cool and they're happy to share and connect you. If they don't have the answer, they will help find you the right person. And so being a part, and then one big thing I also must say is everybody's personality is different. So we've got introverts versus extroverts. And while extroverts may have an easier time jumping right in to a group of people and seeing how they can help, I know I'm an introvert. I don't just jump right in. So I know my first ERISA conference, I didn't even go to the social because I was like, I only know like 2 people and I know I will just grab a beverage and stand against the wall. So I didn't go. But as I started being on more committees and meeting more people one-on-one or in small groups, I felt more and more comfortable with being a part of it and networking, and now making that network even larger and larger, to the point where I ended up being the ERISA president a couple years ago and feeling very comfortable with everybody that I was meeting. And so one piece of advice as well is, if you are an extrovert, if you are very comfortable meeting new people and making those connections, adopt an introvert. If you know someone who's not quite as comfortable jumping right out there, do something one-on-one with them and introduce a new person and get them connected and start to slowly build that network to a level they're comfortable with. So if you feel like jumping right in there, there's an opportunity to help support those who may not quite feel as comfortable doing so. So let's say you've been involved in geospatial for a while, or you've been involved in an association for a while. What's next? Start to think about, what do you want to accomplish? Is that, again, those motivations? Am I looking for GISP points? Am I looking to get recognition, increasing my network? Am I looking for a new opportunity? What is it that you would like to accomplish? You could also look at mentoring opportunities. There are different mentoring programs. Esri's got one, the GPN has one. I know different regional or state GIS groups have them as well. So either whether you are looking for a mentor or you would like to be one, there are opportunities both directions. And then making sure your organization is aware of your contributions, being able to say, hey, look what I helped build or do. And even if it's just in passing with your supervisor, to ensure that they know what you're doing and then are bringing back to your organization. What if you are an individual who doesn't feel you have support from your organization to either cover costs to attend a conference, or even the membership costs? Some items we can look into there are finding a support champion. Perhaps your direct supervisor is not your champion. Maybe there's somebody in a different department or agency who is promoting professional development within their team. Perhaps you can talk to them as kind of like a cross-functional mentor to see, hey, how can we help lift the GIS team? We don't have support. Your all's team does through you as a supervisor. How can I find a champion that can maybe make a difference? If that is not an option, You can do what you can when you can. There are some committees that meet nights and weekends. There are short-term volunteer opportunities where maybe you don't need to collaborate with another person. Perhaps it's something you can do on your own, developing graphics, reading through or reviewing a book or a paper or a workshop. That you can do when your time is available. And then again, talk to your organization about the benefits. What are things that you're going to be able to bring back to your organization by being a part of an association, by being able to expand your network? And then last, what if you're a supervisor? And so things to think about are reflecting on how to support your staff. How do you best empower them, understanding their motivations? Perhaps you can set two-way goals. If, hey, we're going to be able to send you to this training, could you help develop X tool after taking that training? And then considering alternate rewards and recognition. Not everybody has the opportunity to say, hey, I can get you a bonus or give you a raise. So what are alternate things that we can do? Perhaps it's, hey, I can't get you that raise this year, but I can help get the organization to pay for this membership that you want to be a part of. Getting recognition, being able to say, hey, you really jumped in there and did some awesome work. How do we alternatively recognize people in your organization as well? So lots of different opportunities to advance yourself, your organization, and get involved. And so wrapping up, lastly, just go ahead and buy that ticket. With geospatial associations, there's very few, if any, negative things. As mentioned, geospatial people are so laid back and so helpful and thoughtful in how they get involved. So buying that ticket, they're all winners, I promise. It's just how much are they worth? It's another one of those things where what are my motivations to get out of it, what I put in? And so looking back to when I first saw that random post about an organization that I had never heard of and going ahead and applying for that cabinet role, it really did make so much difference and has built my professional network. I've got people that I can rely on for solutions, for career advice, for different mentoring situations. And so it's really made all the difference and would definitely do it again and recommend it to anybody. And so with that, happy to take any questions that anybody has.
All right, I'll jump in here just because it's you, Ashley. Awesome job. Awesome job. I loved your presentation. I have been drinking from the Urissa GPN water glass for several years now. I was involved at the regional level with the New England chapter of Urissa, as many of those in the network already might know. But just to kind of give a huge thumbs up to everything Ashley said today. The Vanguard cabinet, those are some really, really outgoing, young folks that really make me, proud about the next generation of GIS and geospatial industry. Ashley is one of those up and coming rock stars who has really become quite a force in your own right. And so kudos to you. But yeah, no, the things that Urissa and the GPN have done for the industry, not always making huge headlines, but man, they are part of the foundation of our industry from a professional standpoint. And they really give you multiple opportunities, as Ashley talked about today, to participate in that movement. Whether it's the Vanguard or whether it's a committee. We had the international conference a few months ago up in Maine, and that was a good time. And they move it around the country, so look for next year's. But yeah, whether you're part of a planning committee or you're part of one of the multitudes of subcommittees that work within the GP and Urissa, highly recommended. And obviously, I'm going to give a plug for the GIS Leadership Academy that I've both participated in as a student as well as an instructor. It's a great opportunity. Networking opportunities, as Ashley highlighted, are outstanding. And what's nice is that you're meeting folks not just from your local area. I've got friends now in Kansas. I've got friends now in Montana. I've got friends in Arizona and New Mexico and Texas and all over this great country. I've reached out to them countless times and I've said, hey, can you look this over for me and just give me some feedback? Or, hey, we're thinking about this. I saw you do a presentation on it. Can you give me some info on it? And it's just great to have those resources, right? I mean, we all kind of, hang around the same neighborhoods here in the state of Connecticut, being as small as we are, and as I often say, you can't swing a cat without hitting someone that you've worked with, worked for, studied with at school, you know, something like that. We've all brushed shoulders a billion times. So being able to kind of broaden your horizon through something like Urissa and the GPN is huge. So if you're on the fence, check out the website. I did put the link in there for both the Leadership Academy and the GPN. And check out the Vanguard for those of you who are young, much younger than Graybeard here. You know, absolutely, please, I highly recommend you check out the Vanguard. It's a great opportunity to get involved and to really boost your career. And I want to take a sec to talk to, you know, the supervisors and those of us who supervise some of these younger folks. This is important. This is super important, as Ashley pointed out. You know, we need to help bring these guys up through the guys and girls up through the you know, the ranks and really help them in their career, just as folks helped us. So you know, whether you're introvert or extrovert doesn't matter. Highly recommend the GPN and check it out. Ashley, awesome presentation. It's such a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. If nobody has any more questions for Ashley, we'll move into our break. I'm just going to share my screen, some links that if you'd like to check out during the break, feel free. Oh, and come back by 10:15 to hear from Tarek about drones.
Will do. Thanks, Sarah. All right, to kill some time, I just posted small talk questions. What kind of monitor setup do you use? And I asked this because my boss offered that we could get a 4K TV screen to use as a monitor, and I took it up, and it's crazy. It's too many pixels.
I couldn't even tell you what I had. My stuff is so old.
Yeah, I feel like, it runs the gamut. I think it all kind of comes down to how much the like, we don't have an IT budget, but our executive director's really in IT. So he's just like, he doesn't want anybody held back on equipment. Like, if you need more screen, get more screen. And the
That's
TV,
awesome.
yeah, it's really good. The TV prices have dropped so much that they'll probably go up with tariffs, but right now they're really low. So we found this sweet spot for like
I
a
saw your
43-inch
emails.
TV.
Sam responded. I'm not sure what his response quite meant, but I'm assuming that we could probably just.
Burns.
I just muted
Very
her.
good. Oh, curve monitor. That's the dream one.
Hello,
Hey, Tarek, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys? Can you hear me
Good.
well?
We can hear
Yeah.
you loud and clear, yeah. Just doing some small talk in between before you get started.
I think that's the best thing always, the small talks.
That's right. It's a certain skill you gotta develop. So, Tarek, are you a co-host? Let's see. No. Maybe you are now a co-host, so you can screen share. If you want to test it out, feel free. See how that's working.
All right. I think even people, oh no, they can't. Oh, you have to be a host. Yeah, okay.
Oh, let's see. Did you not become a co-host? You're a co-host now.
Yes, I am. Yeah. Thing is, let me try to share it. Can you see it now?
I think I might have had to stop.
I can
Oh,
see
there.
it now, Tarek.
Yes,
Okay,
there it
perfect.
is. Yeah. Yep. So good. So you're up and running. And Tarek, what kind of monitor setup do you use?
I have my laptop only now.
Yes. Okay. My laptop has a built-in. I never seen it before. It's a built-in 3K monitor. I can really squeeze down to like tiny little letters, which I'm like, why would anyone? This is like, who is using this? So small.
That's mine?
That's what I have for my monitor. That's for my laptop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You know what I wish we had access to in this webinar? If we could just put out little brown bags for everyone's names, and everybody could drop in paper Valentines. I don't think if anyone did that when they were in
Yeah.
elementary school, but that's a lost art.
Let me check. Do I have any typos in here just before you go on? It's not gonna be long. I don't think I might need the whole 30 minutes.
That's all right. I think you're probably gonna get a lot of questions. Drones typically get
Oh,
people
okay.
very excited, and
Definitely.
I have a lot of questions on how you use them, more detailed follow-ups. So
Okay, that's
in that 30-minute block that we put out, that's assuming 10 minutes for questions. So
oh, okay. So 20
Okay.
minutes and 10 minutes are questions.
yeah, that's typically what we have in mind when we do these events.
Okay.
Oh my God, Zach, 1080. Sad emoji. Come on now.
Oh, he's got a single 24-inch plus his laptop. That's that's just I'm sorry, Zach. We're gonna take up a collection for you at work. I think we're gonna take a collection up to buy you a new monitor.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, everybody on this call, if you just click that sad emoji under Zach, you could use that
It'll
to argue that he needs a better
Venmo a $5 donation towards buying Zach a new monitor.
Get those sad emojis up so he can take it to his manager. Like, look, I have 78 people who think I need a better monitor.
Yeah, what do the YouTubers say? Mash that sad emoji.
That's right. Snapchat. Yeah. All right. I think I'm at 10:15. So Sarah, I'm gonna pass it out to you and stuff. I feel the
Alright.
hook coming. Yep.
Okay, next we're going to be hearing from Tarek Kandakji, who is a quantitative methodologist at the Baylor College of Medicine. He'll be talking to us about drones.
All right. Thank you so much for the introduction and giving me the opportunity to participate in this very well organized and important events for networking and getting a lot of great information about GIS, not only for people in Connecticut, but anywhere in the United States. So I will talk today probably about something probably most of you already know, or at least saw recently, especially in the news, where we have unknown objects flying over the East Coast. They say it's drones, but who launched them? Where are they coming from? Nobody knows. I don't know if there are any updates about this issue, but this topic, the drones and the unmanned air vehicles, is becoming extremely important these days. And these drones are making their way into the GIS world in a very quick manner. So I'm going to spot the light about the drones, what type of drones we have, what sensors we can have on them, and all this information. And I'll be happy to take some questions at the end. I don't think I'm going to use up the whole 30 or 20 minutes. It's kind of, a quick demonstration of drones and slightly talking about the pros and cons and the challenges and all that stuff. So I'm going to start with little introduction. Like drones, it's also known as unmanned air vehicles, and it has rapidly evolved from being not only a recreational gadget, like to take social media posts, social media videos, and making it following you on those amazing vacation spots you go to and post it on Instagram or YouTube. It's becoming more of a powerful tool for geographic information system and remote sensing as well. They have a unique and very good ability to capture extremely high resolution images and generate a precise and very accurate geospatial data and accurate locations for the images it took. And it also provides a flexible mapping solutions. All these factors has transformed multiple industries in the world of GIS and drone usage. Not only agriculture, as you can see here in the picture, but also the urban planning, disaster management, environmental monitoring, even, like shopping experiences. Now many retailers and big companies are planning to use drones to ship the products to the customers, and also in military and defense uses, and also spy uses, as we saw on the few weeks ago about the unknown drones that's flying over the East Coast and many parts in the United States. Like the drones are becoming
Tarek,
more.
Sorry to interrupt, but I don't think we're seeing all of your screen. We're just seeing your PowerPoint on the main screen. We're not seeing anything full screen because I think you're talking about slide 2.
Oh, yes. Okay, so let me fix this real quick. I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm gonna share screen again. Okay.
Perfect.
What
All right.
about now?
Good. You're good.
Much
Thank
better.
you.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, and as you can see here, I was talking about the image that has application for agriculture, but that's one of the applications, but there are many, many other applications, and we will see more details as we go through this presentation. Now, there has been a traditional GIS collection methods, and we all know there are satellites orbiting the Earth, collecting images for the globe, and also for different planets around this universe. And these are traditional data collection methods. However, these methods has limitations. It can be high cost, like to be extremely expensive and restricted to certain times, like you cannot deploy it anytime you want. And it's very vulnerable to the air conditions, like if there are clouds, if there are rain, all that stuff. Drone, on the other hand, it provides an efficient, cost-effective alternative by offering real-time and high-resolution data with on-demand flexibility, which is a very, very important aspect. Now, here's a table that summarizes the main differences between satellites and drones. This is courtesy for Dr. Shuwei Lee from Yale's School of Environment at Yale University. As you can see here, the spatial cover, there are pros and cons for drones. So for example, this spatial coverage, satellites can provide a wider area when in a single scene or in a single shot. However, the drone can, even after the orthomosaic, after you create the orthomosaic, which means after you stitch all the images you collected together, you can have a smaller spatial coverage area. And the spectral layer or bands, for example, here we have 11 bands. So the satellite may have a hyperspectral profile that includes many bands like red, green, blue, near infrared, shortwave infrared, and the whole number of bands. Each one has its own purpose. But for the drones, we are limited currently for 3 or 4 bands, typical, maybe green, blue, red, and near infrared. Now they are producing some hyperspectral drones, but it's extremely expensive and it needs a lot of processing power. The changing in illumination condition during the flight mission, satellites, it does not affect that much. Although we have some effect of sun glare on certain spots, it's very limited. But usually it does not, we don't worry about the change in lightning condition throughout the day when we talk about satellite images. However, this is extremely important in drones. So you can't have a reliable mission from the drone if you are flying a drone in a partly cloudy condition, where the cloud is passing, covering the sun, and suddenly the illumination changes. That will affect the quality of the images. So, and also during the same day as the sun moves in the horizon, that will change the shadow properties of the objects, which is also a problematic. So in drones, we always prefer to fly the drone in a cloudy day. That's the perfect condition. Because, you know, like you don't have a significant change in illumination condition, you don't have effect of shadows changing over the time. So the drones can be limited to the illumination during the day. Now, knowledge about the hardware for satellites, you don't need to be an engineer in order to use satellite images, or even knows how some of the aspects of the satellite. All what you need to do when you're doing with satellite is how to get the data and what are the metadata associated with the image you are collecting. However, in drones, sometimes it's very important to know the mechanism of your drone, the capabilities, the hardware itself. Sometimes it's important, and it will be especially critical during the mission if there's an error or there's the drone just lost connection with the remote control and the drone fly away. So you need to be aware of the hardware. Now, when we talk about the resolution, which is the pixel size, drones have a tremendous benefit here because the image can be as high as 5 centimeter resolution, which is very, very great. But satellites, it can be like 30 meters, 10 meters for some satellites. For the commercial satellites, like one used in PlanetScope, it can go down to 3 meters. But then if you want high resolution images, you need to pay like literally millions of dollars to cover a state or to cover a small area or a small country. But in drones, you can have you can just fly the drone and collect the images, stitch them together, and create an orthomosaic. So it's in terms of cost to resolution, the drones are much better here. The georeferencing effort, when you are dealing with satellites, you don't need to worry about that because satellites usually, the image products that are ready to be downloaded by the user are usually, it's like georeference. So you just need to download the image with its metadata and all the locations in there. But in the drone, the georeferencing can take a lot of effort, even if you have GPS, because when you collect the image, think about it this way: like you are collecting, the drone flies over and takes images as it goes through the path it's flying. So you are creating single images, and eventually you need to georeference them and stitch them together. This may sound intuitive, like, yeah, we can just take the images, put it in a remote sensing software and georeference them, and mosaic them. But no, it's not that way. It doesn't work that way. Not like satellite images. You can do this for satellite images where you have multiple scenes and you can mosaic them together to create a bigger area, but not drones, because drones, each image has its own property. Maybe it's, like depending on the path of the drone, maybe you are taking the image from backward, so it's flipped. Maybe it's there's an angle to the image, so you need sophisticated and powerful software. So yeah, and you need these
you cut out for a moment. That's all. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, when it's not a straightforward process to stitch the image and to create what we call the orthomosaic. It needs a very sophisticated software and very powerful processing hardware to realign each image and create a orthomosaic similar to the one you download from satellite. Cloud interference, yes, definitely in satellite it's an issue, but in drones it's not an issue at all. Haze interference, again, in satellites, because satellites takes the image from space and the signal is transferring all the way from the Earth all the way to the space, going through the atmosphere, interacting with many elements in the atmosphere. But in drones, you don't have this issue because the drone is right above you and does not affected by severe atmospheric conditions in the higher altitude or in the high altitude in the atmosphere. Wind interference, it's definitely not an issue for satellites. However, it's an issue for drones, and manufacturers try to make the drones as much. So now they're trying to make it more stable. We can see drones that can tolerate high wind speeds. And the one I think NASA sent to Mars, the drone that's in there now, I think it has high resistance for wind, but still, I think it faced some issue due to wind. Return time. Satellite are infrequent, like it depends on, like sometimes it's usually it's every 16 days, but for the drone it's frequent and you can control it as well. For when we talk about flexibility, satellites, you need to schedule like data acquisition, like it comes in certain times, but in drones you can anytime take the drone, fly it, and get the images. It can be deployed on demand. Also the processing is not only the georeferencing effort, but satellites, usually when the satellite capture the image, it takes about 12 hours at least for NASA or USGS or whatever agency to process the image and make it ready for the users. While in drone, it's an immediate process. You finish your mission, go back to the lab or to your computer, and you can start collecting the data. So this comparison clearly highlights why drones have become more attractive, and it's making its way very fast into the GIS world and between GIS professionals. Here's a quick demonstration of the difference between satellite and images. As you can see here, look at, this is a Sentinel image. It's pixelated, while in the drone, all these details are obvious and clear. Look at the small forest here. Like, it's pixelated, but here you can identify each tree individually. Here you can identify, you know, like the crop fields. Here you cannot know, it's even blended with the other field, but here it's nicely differentiated. Now we're going to talk about what type of sensors that can be attached to a drone. We have the RGB, which is the regular camera, you know, like our eyes sensitive to the red, green, and blue bands. And in fact, all the colors we see in our life, everything we see in our life, it's a mix of those three main colors. There are some colors, or let's say some wavelengths, that our eyes cannot detect, like the near infrared and the infrared and the thermal. Our eyes can't detect it. So it needs a multispectral drone here. Like, we have multispectral drones that capture multiple wavelengths beyond the visible light, and it's used for vegetation analysis. We can create NDVI, like, for example, plants. Plants reflect light on the green band and the near infrared band, by the way. But our eyes can only see the green. So basically, the mechanism of us seeing is when the light is reflected from the object, we see that reflected light. That's how we see things in life. And the color, as I said, it's a mixture of red, green, and blue mixed together in different quantities. Then we can see a color. Now, plants, we see the plants in green because they reflect green more than red and blue. However, like, they reflect much, much more in the near infrared band. So if our eyes are able to see the near infrared, plants will, but we can create, which will be extremely helpful for agricultural applications and creating indices to determine the health of that vegetation we are monitoring. And also for the water and quality assessment applications, we can use that. Another very unique and very beautiful application for drones is having LiDAR sensor. LiDAR, it's like light detecting and ranging instrument. It uses laser pulses to create highly accurate 3D elevation models. So not only having an aerial image with 2D only, but also you can create a point cloud, as you can see here, and you can create a 3D model that you can print later. You can scan a monument, for example, and you can create from LiDAR and print 3D, print that into a small object, or you can use many applications. It's very useful for topographic mapping, forestry, flood monitoring, and flood modeling. So it's extremely important application. Also, the thermal sensor, like there's a thermal sensor, like thermal camera that can be attached to the drone, and it has many applications. And I think one of the unique applications in the terrorist attacks that happened in Boston, the bombing that happened in Boston, like the suspect fled the scene, and the police were able to find that person hiding inside a boat with a cover, and they were able to detect his body through the thermal drone. So, and they were able to capture the person. So you can have a lot of applications for thermal monitoring the temperature of different urban landscapes. And also you can have a customized sensors, like you can create your own sensors. You can purchase sensors, and with very little engineering, you can attach it to a drone. examples of these sensors like wind speed anemometer. You can have like carbon measurement sensors that can be attached to a drone and launched into the atmosphere, and you can collect some very important environmental data from those sensors. So you have many applications, and it's becoming extremely useful with time. I'm going to talk now a little bit about the workflow of how you can design or start to collect data. First of all, you need a software for the mission planning. So basically what I mean here is you define the area of interest and you program the drone's flight path and altitude using GIS software. So you don't need to worry about it. You can design it here. As you can see in this example, you can design the area, you can create the area, and you can change, like for example, the overlap, because you have two types of overlap. You have the front overlap, so as the drone is going this way, this is the line it's going through. So it takes picture here and picture on the next point. Now those points overlap because you want those overlapping regions to be able to georeference each image and stitch the images together. And then you have another overlap, which is the side overlap. So between this and this here. So you can change the overlap. Usually when you have a like homogeneous surface, like a forest where all trees looks together, you need higher overlap. So you can identify unique points to match the images together. But if you are working on less homogeneous, like over an urban area, which is like houses and, you know, like some parks, you can use less overlap. So what that means, like more overlap means more processing power and processing time. And less overlap means less processing power and less processing time, and also less flight time. This becomes very important when you setting these parameters, when you worry about the battery life, because battery is one of the limitations for using drones, because batteries cannot last more than 20 to 30 minutes. And if you're covering a large area, you have to sometimes compromise, like, okay, I want less overlap because I don't have enough batteries, or I cannot charge the batteries I have on site. So you can change these parameters depending on the circumstances you're going through. And of course, you can change the gimbal angle, which is the angle with the image is taking picture, like the angle of the sensor that's taking the picture, the camera basically. And there are many other factors. And every time you change something, the flight time changes here and tells you, okay, if you do this, the flight time going to be 5 minutes. If you increase this, for example, the flight time will jump like to 20 minutes instead of 5 minutes. So this mission planning is very important before conducting the mission, and it can save you a lot of time in the field. So we always recommend do this before you go to the field. Do it in your lab or in your office and then head there. Of course, it's not going to be perfect. You're going to face some issues, as I always had. So, but still, you know, like it can save you some time. After you plan your mission and you launch the drone, you are now in the stage of data collection. So the drone will start to capture high resolution georeferenced images. Each image has a georeference stamp on it, which is going to be helpful for the georeferencing of the orthomosaic. And also LiDAR here can record data, and the multispectral can record images. Like for each, like the multispectral cameras have many, multispectral sensors have many cameras, for example, like have 4 cameras. One for the red band, one for the green, one for the blue, and one for the near infrared. So each or each image is taken, it's also part of the data collection, and it's all going to be produced in a SIM card or any mechanism you're using for storing the data. Usually, most of the time, it's like a mini SIM card installed in the drone or into the remote control, and you can get that and download it to your computer. When you are back to office or you're back to lab, now I'm going to start the data processing, where you're going to start stitching the images together. That's where, and creating what we call the orthomosaic or the 3D model. It depends, which is this case here, as you can see. So the software, most softwares, what they do is they create a blank image with pixels, depending on the resolution you collected from, you set it up, like, because if you move higher, if you fly the drone in higher altitude, then you are having less resolution. If it's closer to the earth, you have higher resolution. And by the way, you cannot fly it over 400 feet because that's against the FAA rules. And probably I forgot to mention this, some drones, some professional drones, if it weighs more than 50 pounds, it needs a license. You have to be a licensed drone pilot, and you can take the exam from FAA and be licensed to fly the drone. So you cannot fly it if you are like over 400 feet in altitude. You have to be lower. And this is one of the limitations. Like for professional drones, you need license, but for recreational drones, you don't need a license. You just need to know, be aware of the surroundings, and there are no airports close by, and that's enough, but you don't need a license. However, for the professional drones, you definitely need a license. So if you are flying in a higher altitude, you are getting a different resolution than lower altitude. Now, based on that resolution, the software creates a blank image with pixels, blank pixels, no data in it. And then it will go to each image collected here and create a point cloud of each feature detected in that drone. It's kind of easy and complicated at the same time. So once it has those information from the images it took in the drone, it fill it into the empty pixels and eventually create the orthomosaic, or the aerial imagery of the data. That's why here where the georeferencing becomes an issue, because as I said, the drone is unstable, so it might take an image with a slight shift, with a slight tilt, especially if it's taking the image off nadir position. So that's where you need to fix those aspects and be able to identify, like, okay, this image is after this image and it's beside this image, using the georeferencing stamp to the drone, and also through unique points, what we call tie points. The tie points and key points. Key points, basically, how many points are identifiable by the machine, and the tie points, out of those key points, how many are similar between two images that are next to each other, and that's how it determines this image is behind this image, or in front of this image, or beside this image, and stitch it together and get the data and put it into the final mesh surface, or the blank matrix it created to create the orthomosaic. I know it may not be easy to understand, we might be lost, but this is just to I want the main idea here. It's not easy. It sounds like, intuitive, like, yeah, it's just stitch it, but no, there are many processes going on here. After you process the image and create your final product, now you can integrate it into GIS applications, like as you can see here. For example, elevation, temperature. You can hear one of the students take the temperature. Her name is Erin Shrives, and Austin Brewitt from Yale School of Environment. I was teaching that course, and I was the one who conducting the missions, because students cannot fly the drone because they're not FAA licensed. I was the FAA licensed drone pilot, and I used to collect the data for them, and they will do the processing. So this is one example of the processing here, like thermal signature of the data or elevation. This could be temperature, elevation, any other thing, or even just a regular image or 3D model. And you can integrate it into a GIS software, and you can do hotspot analysis. You can do clustering. You can do kriging, all kind of typical GIS applications. You can use it in ArcGIS, like the final product. You can use it in ArcGIS, in a QGIS, or any cloud-based tool. And you can do classification and many other stuff. Now, the software that processes the image is different than the GIS software you use to put the image, the final image on. Now there are many companies producing different type of software with different power capabilities. Some softwares use algorithm more advanced than the other. Some of them are easier for creating orthomosaic and more robust in creating orthomosaic, but not so much good in creating 3D model. Other softwares are perfect for 3D model, but does not perform well when creating orthomosaic. So all these you need to take into consideration when choosing the software for processing the drone images. So here Esri has a drone to map software. I still don't prefer it because it still needs a lot of work. It's new. I prefer Agisoft for orthomosaic. It's great, and reality capture is perfect for 3D models of monuments or buildings. That's from my own experience, of course. I'm not forcing this to anyone. Now, key GIS applications, it can be used for environmental monitoring, track changes in forest cover, in wetlands, coastal erosion, and it helps in monitoring deforestation and vegetation health. It's very important in urban planning as well. You can create 3D model for infrastructure planning and cities, and it can provide real-time traffic monitoring. For agriculture, you can use the drone for creating NDVI indices that as I mentioned before, to monitor the crop health, to monitor the vegetation cover, and the vegetation change over time. It's very important to capture that, especially in parks. When you're dealing with urban heat, sometimes you need to monitor the change in vegetation cover within urban settings to determine the effect of urban heat islands. It can also enable precision irrigation and early detection of plant diseases using the NDVI and other indices. It's very important in disaster management. It has affected affected the applications in many areas like hurricanes, wildfires, and earthquakes. I'm going to talk more about case studies here, which is, I know, going to be interesting. Help emergency responders to assess the damage and coordinate relief efforts. And it's also very important for infrastructure and construction monitoring by performing routine inspections of bridges, roads, and power lines, and reduce risk and improve maintenance efficiencies. Now, if you can allow me to talk about some case studies here, there are different images. So one of the applications for agricultural precision in California, they used it for vineyard adapted precision agriculture techniques by integrating drone technology with the multispectral sensors that equipped with multispectral sensors to create high resolution imagery and calculating NDVI to assess vine health. And by doing that, the managers implemented deficit irrigation strategies by applying water only when necessary. Like, you do not need just to put water, only when necessary. You can determine that schedule using the NDVI. Disaster response, as you can see from this image here from NASA. This is in Houston, Texas, during August 2017, Hurricane Harvey that swept over the area, caused unprecedented flooding and damage. So in the immediate aftermath, both government agencies and private entities deployed drones to survey the damage. Like, for example, pilots in Fort Bend County, southwest of Houston, they utilized the drones to inspect roads, bridges, and water treatment facilities. And the aerial image provided real-time insight into the extent of the damage, and it helped in providing critical role of drone in disaster management. City modeling, for example, in Spain, like I think in September and October 2024, the Council of Bilbao in Spain conducted a photogrammetric flight using drones equipped with advanced imaging system, and these flights captured detailed aerial photographs, which were proposed to create precise 3D models of the urban landscape. And it was very important in that application. And as you can see here, there are many different type of drones. Like this type of drone, by the way, it can be either by remote. It doesn't have like propellers, doesn't have like arms. It's just wings, and you can either throw it in the air, or you can have a remote control that can fly it. These drones, they need a way, like, or it needs enough space, enough area to fly and land. Sometimes it's lost, sometimes it gets destroyed easily, unlike the drones with propellers, where it doesn't need that area, just fly it over, and like helicopter style thing.
Tarek, if I could jump in, we're past time. I don't know if you have one last takeaway. If you want to jump to that.
Yeah, actually. One last case study, which is the one that you can see here in Syria. Drones were extremely important in allowing the rebels to defeat the regime there, and they actually tried to target Assad while he was trying to flee the country through the Hmeimim Russian airbase, but Russian defense system prevented that. But these drones had played a major role in changing the events of the Syrian revolution in favor of the rebels against the dictatorship that lasted there for over 50 years. There are some challenges, regulation, battery life, and payload limitations, as mentioned earlier. And there are many future applications, especially in applying AI and machine learning, that will help extremely in the application of drones into the GIS. As a conclusions, it's a very important tool. It's revolutionizing GIS, and it's making its way very fast into the GIS world. And future advancement in AI, sensor technology, and regulations will enhance the role of geospatial analysis. And thank you for your patience and for hanging with me during this line. I did not expect to be that long, honestly. I'm so sorry.
No problem, Tarek. So I'm gonna jump in here, Sarah, if you don't mind, because I'm gonna be rushing right into the elections. Tarek, if I can do the elections quickly, I think people have a lot of questions probably about drones that you'll see. And folks, if you want to just get your questions into the chat, Tarek might be able to reply to you directly in the chat while we also do elections, just to make. No, in fact, hold off on that. We're just gonna do the elections, then we'll do the questions after. That's what we'll do. All right, so let's see. So I think, Sarah, you have a slide you want to show with the blurbs. The way this is going to work is we have one regional sector rep seat open, and I'll give you a link to do a vote for that. It's one applicant, so Richard Crowther, but we have to go through the process of voting. So
Mike,
yes.
I'm also going to, as kind of following back on rules and regs, we're also going to open up the floor to 4 nominations before we go forward with the election for the position. So, so let's go over Richard's offer here, and then also open the floor to nominations. It's kind of rule of thumb.
Very good. Appreciate that, Thad. Yes, I'm in go mode, so I I appreciate that heads up. Okay, if you're interested in the regional sector, now is an opportunity to jump in on that.
Do we have any floor nominations for the position of regional representative? Okay. Hearing
All right.
no other nominations, I will close nominations and we will go forward with the vote, Mike.
All right, thank you. We are now open for the vote. I see 2 people have already made the vote. If someone else did nominate, we have to clear that out, but all right, go ahead and follow that link. We'll share in the chat and you should be able there. Thank you, Rebecca.
Yep.
Start filling that form. So we have 7 responses. Richard has already won, but keep voting. We'll give it a moment.
Sarah, go back to the slide.
Yeah, I just saw that. Everybody saw my vote. Where'd it go?
Right, we've been exposed.
Oops, not that. There we go. We're back.
Mike,
Yeah, we
while
have
we're
32.
waiting for
Yep.
that vote to tally, Mike, can you or can Rebecca, can someone go over the other positions that we have open just to give folks a heads up?
Yes, that's very good, and it's very easy. There are 5, I know there's 6, but we'll get there. There are 5 member-at-large positions for this round that are open, and we have 6 applicants. The member-at-large is a general seat, so we make sure we get good representation in the steering committee. And so all the responsibilities are the same. It's just that you don't officially represent a sector. So like the regional sector, the nonprofit sector, the utility sector, the private sector, they all kind of have a special seat and they have a bonus expectation of coordinating with that sector. But the member at large is a general seat. They can participate in that way. So there are 5 regular seats that are open. And we also have 1 seat that is a transition seat because we have Nadia Ahmad, who's on the group chat. She's going to be stepping down from that seat. Thank you, Nadia, for your year of working with the steering committee. So that's a 2-year term. So that seat's a little bit different. So what we'll do is we'll run through each of the elections so we can get each seat filled and your vote will count. We were at 36 votes. Looks like it stopped coming in. So Richard, congratulations. You are the regional sector representative. Welcome.
Thank
Now,
you.
Sarah, don't jump to the next slide. We don't want people early voting. I may have to change it. Is there anyone out there who is interested in joining the steering committee and would like their name added to this list? I can add you right now.
So this would be as a member at large. So you could be from any industry, any background. We'd welcome students. So if you're a student and you want to participate in the steering committee, we would welcome you as well. But we want to kind of fill these seats and make sure that we get a well-rounded steering committee. So if anyone has any floor nominations for member at large positions, your time is now.
That you can write it in the chat if you want, or you can announce it openly, but we'll give you a moment to put it out there.
Okay. Last call for nominations for the 5 member at large positions. Okay, hearing
Makes it
none, I'm
easy.
going to close nominations. If we could go forward with the vote for the member at large positions.
Sorry, this screen is a lot, but we had some great bios, so how to get them all in there.
All right, so you'll see a link in the chat. You'll see the QR code on the right. You should be able to access the Google form and you can review the bios for these folks. And you can make your first vote. We're going to do this 6 times. So make your vote. I know it's kind of silly because there's 6 slots and 6 people, but one of the seats is different. I didn't want to have you vote and say, choose your least favorite. I didn't want to do that vote. So we are doing it this way. Votes are coming in. We are past the halfway mark. Okay. Share a screen now. You can see we're at 64, 69 votes. 72. Wow, great job. How's it even possible? 75. Better not go over 79. Okay, this is strange. Multiple votes. I'm a little worried about this.
It's jumping because it keeps updating the number of votes on the top, Mike. Just
Yeah, but we don't have that many people in the chat.
yeah, but they're each voting 6 times. So everybody is voting in this round.
Wait, I thought we were just supposed
Yeah,
to vote for one
Yeah, vote, you're
person.
supposed to vote
Yeah, I
once.
don't
And
know if that was
I was gonna
super
update
clear.
it. I was gonna
Yeah.
update it. I didn't make that clear.
Okay, can we wipe that out and
Yeah, we'll
try
wipe
one
that
more
out and
time?
do it again. Thank
All
you.
right, so we're voting for one member on this one,
Yes.
and then you're going to send another link for a different one.
Correct.
Okay, now that everyone understands, so we're going to vote for one member on this round, and then you'll get a link for a second vote.
All right, let's go. Get in there and vote.
Okay, so everyone vote for one member on this round.
Yes. Ideally, we do this in Zoom. I wasn't able to make a poll in Zoom. But here we go.
So now it makes a lot more sense. So everybody's casting one vote in this round, and then we'll get a link for another one, and we'll do that routine 6 times.
That's right.
And I have the QR code again. Sorry, I don't know if everyone else.
Yeah, it's Scott.
There's a link in chat too.
The
If
link
you
in
open
chat.
the chat, it's in the link.
We have 40 votes.
Looks like we've got some tight races going on here.
Oops. Okay, we're at 48 votes. I'm gonna call it. Our number one choice is Alexis. Congratulations, you are a member at large. We are now gonna clear the vote, so I'll write down Alexis. We go again.
And now we're going to use the same link. Is that correct?
That's correct, the same link. I just need to read all
hold on.
responses. All right, everybody, get in there.
Commence
Oh,
voting.
wait, let me get rid of Alexis. Don't vote for
I'll say
Alexis.
take out Alexis.
All right. Votes are rolling in. It's election night at the GIS network. So we got past the halfway point. That's good.
Getting some really tight races here, folks. Nice to
I
see.
know. Okay, slowing down. We get to 40. I'm gonna call it. Yeah, Jenna.
Hold
Oh,
on.
okay.
Has everyone voted? We have 67 people in this group right now. Has everyone voted? And click the link in the chat window.
That didn't work. That we did get a few more votes.
Okay, has everyone voted that wanted to vote? Seeing no other votes cast, go ahead and call it, Mike.
All right, called it. It is 31% for Jenna Rudowitz.
Nice.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but
You got that. Yeah, you
Jenna,
got
feel
that.
the correct. Okay, good. All right, gonna go and clear this out.
And
Gonna get rid
remove
of
Jenna from the list.
Yep, very good. Jenna, thank you for playing. Congratulations. Out. Here we go. We are open. Do another vote. The link's in the chat. There's at 100%. No, it's funny. We just hit that threshold where we had to do it this way.
All right, folks, come on. We need your votes.
Yeah, we're at 36. I know there's 42 out there at least.
67 on the participants list. So
Yeah.
let's go, folks. Now is the time for you to vote. We got to get this done. We want to make sure it's fair, make sure folks have a chance for their voice. These are your representatives on the steering committee.
That link is in the chat if you need it, or you can refresh your screen. All right, we're at 40.
All right, folks, this is last call for votes. Last call for votes. We've got a couple more times to do this. Last call for votes on this one. Okay, Mike, go ahead and call it.
C3 is going to be Nick Trapka. Congratulations, Nick. All right, and we will clear the votes. We'll
Update the list.
And we are good. Voting is open again. Jackie with 100%. Early lead. Oh, I can put the QR code in the survey itself. 35 response, 36. We're getting there. Link is in the chat. There you go. Good. Wow.
Remember, folks, we're only voting once on this one. We're going to have one more vote after this. Last call for votes. Last call for votes. Okay, Mike, go ahead and call it.
Thank you. It's Jared. Congratulations,
Oh.
Jared.
Oh, did we have a last minute vote there, cast, Mike?
Gosh. A tie.
A tie. All right, well, why don't we We're gonna have to
What?
go one more. We're gonna have to go one more round just because. I mean,
Well,
either
no.
that or we have to have somebody.
Well, if
no?
there's only 2 of those other spots left, can
Well,
we?
we just had the bump over. We just had the bump over. Hopefully that was an honest vote. So yes, we had the bump over. So congratulations, Jared.
Wow. Okay. Very good.
Do we want to save the time and give the last member at large for the 3-year term to Juliana and then give Jackie the filler term for the 2 years?
Well, let's do this. Let's hold a vote for the last spot, and then whoever's left, we will put up for the filler spot. And if anyone else wants to go for the filler spot, we'll make it an honest election.
Okay.
Need to keep it honest, folks.
Yeah, run the system.
All right.
That was Jared. Congratulations. Here we go. Voting is open again.
Come on, folks, get those votes in.
And thanks everyone for working with us on this kind of jury rigged setup. I had it set up differently and realized it was not a fair voting process. I make some adjustments. Okay, the link's in the chat. If you haven't voted yet, we're at 36 right now.
Please vote once on this. Want to keep it honest. All right, we need to keep rolling. We're running long.
Yeah. Seems to have gone steady now.
All right, Mike, I think we're going to go ahead and call it. The margin is significant enough.
All right, thank you. Juliana, congratulations.
All right, so now for this last one. So we have Jackie left. And Jackie is Jackie, if you're open to fulfilling the remainder of the spot being vacated by Nadia, just go ahead and either give me a verbal or a chat yes.
She has a yes in the chat.
Okay, so we have Jackie as a candidate for the remainder of Nadia's spot. Do we have anyone else? The floor is open for nominations. If anyone else is interested in the filler spot, so it would be the remaining year of a 2-year term, and at the end of that year, it would be open again, and you could run. Is there anyone else who would like to put their name in the ring for the filler spot?
I feel like it's too late for other people. They should have spoken up sooner. Personal opinion.
we have to keep it legit. Are there any other nominations?
I don't know. I think it would be legit to speak up sooner.
Once, twice. Okay. Hearing no other nominations, we have Jackie Clavier. Essentially just needs one vote, which she's got. So therefore, closing the vote on this one. Jackie, congratulations.
Thank you, Thad, for overseeing that. Thanks everybody for your votes. That was a little chaotic. We will probably have a better system next time. Lessons learned. All right.
Mike,
Sarah,
we're
it's all
gonna
yours.
we're gonna go ahead and roll right into Alfredo's, if that's okay with everyone.
Yeah. Alfredo will talk about some updates to the GIS office of the state, if he's still here.
I am indeed.
There he is.
Yep, I see the ability to share. Thank you. Can everyone see my screen? Looks like it.
Yep, we can see it.
All right, cool. Bear with me here a second. All right, so I'll try and run through this real quick. So before I really dig into everything, so we had a lot of things that kind of came to kind of completion in the last few months of the year. It was a very, very busy time. And yeah, first and foremost, we had to finish spending all of the ARPA money that was allocated to us by the legislature. We were able to successfully do that. It was one heck of a push, but we got there. So starting off, imagery, we got all of the imagery, all of the LiDAR data, and most of the deliverables. We're in the final phases of getting the 3D buildings, which is kind of it was always expected to come in later after everything else. So we have all of the imagery that's already hosted up on CT Eco, same with the DEMs. We are working on getting the point clouds published to NOAA and USGS and finding other avenues because there's a lot of uncertainty with our federal partners right now. As you can see, there's a lot of things that we did here. We've been working on derivative products. We've been trying to do new capabilities to kind of derive additional products and downstream things and trying to generally make sure that everybody knows that this data is available. So here's kind of where we're at with a lot of this stuff. Like I said, imagery is all available in static and dynamic services. The DEMs are available in a tile download for sure. Service is, there is a draft service that Emily's been working on. We're pretty much almost there. The contours, we have a beta version of the 5 foot, basically we made a 5 foot version of the 1 foot contours. The 1 foot contours are available for download already. 2D buildings, we have a early version of the 2D data set available on the geodata portal. 3D buildings, we've reviewed them, received them, they look fantastic, but waiting on a few additional things to make sure that we have it all kind of in good shape before we publish it. Other rasters like the intensity raster, vegetation, DSM, those kinds of things, we're still working on getting those published, but they will be coming as we gather them and get them developed. Other data sets, ponds, lakes, streams, hydrography, all of those things, impervious cover, those are all coming. They take time to develop, and we are still in the process of receiving them. So here is a screenshot of the handy dandy download application that Emily made. It's really, really good. You can use it to download areas of interest and things like that. It spits out like a CSV. For some of the advanced users, she published the tile service that drives this application as an item in the geodata portal. So like if you just want to use the tile grid and do custom extracts of your areas of interest, you can do that as well. Those are available through the geodata portal. So we are working on a imagery landing page to kind of explain some of what we were doing and some of the neat things about the imagery. It ties back and forth to the CT Eco site a lot just to be kind of complementary and have a place along with the data on our side. 3D images. So here's like a sample of the 3D buildings that that were developed for us. They look at least this good almost everywhere. We're still waiting on a few areas that we're kind of missing some buildings, but we've gotten those now, and we're doing kind of final review before we start publishing the services. Through collaboration with an intern, Durga Joshi, and from Yukon, we developed some statewide vegetation data sets like foliage height diversity, plant area index, and canopy height model. data sets, and those have been like really, really impressive. As you can see here, Carl made these screenshots with the 3D buildings kind of integrated so you can kind of see how they interact. And all of that is really, really very exciting. And I think a lot of people are going to be very happy with the products that we've been able to secure. Moving on to broadband mapping, as you can see here, this is the percent of locations that are meeting the state goals over time from 2021 all the way to now, to the latest collection. As you can see, there's a lot of really fast broadband in the state. It's getting better and better by the day. You know, we still do a lot of broadband mapping despite the FCC also getting better at it, but we have a nice tactical advantage in that we can focus on just Connecticut and make sure that the data that we're getting from the ISPs is really, really vetted and is really, really accurate, so that when our partners at BEEP help to distribute the funds that they're using to get the projects built out, to make sure that everybody has access, that that they have the best information possible. Some of the other things that Ashley's been doing is also kind of developing and improving some of the additional adjacent mapping, you know, like you know, the distribution of internet service providers, you know, tracking adoption or, you know, like subscriptions to see, you know, like where are, you know, like how does it compare to availability, to see, you know, like where are people actually buying broadband access, as well as the distribution of broadband technologies. That those are all really, really intriguing and really useful maps for those folks that are kind of doing policy and grant distribution. Moving on to the parcel and CAMA. So we completed the 2024 and published it as a new data set. We had to create a new data set, a new layer, because we realized that we had put the 2023 date on the previous years. So we made one that does not have a date on it. So going forward, it will be the same URL. It won't be changing. What we will plan to do is we will, before we update the 2025 parcels, we're going to take a snapshot of the 24 parcels, archive it as a separate data set, and then overwrite the existing main service as the current parcel. So if you have an application that you've developed off of our data set, you don't have to do anything when we update the service. As you can see here, we added a few fields, made sure we included the actual year build, the effective year builds, and then we also included the land acres and FIPS codes for each parcel. So the FIPS codes is basically just the census block code for where each parcel is located. That helps with demographic information and all sorts of things like that. You know, something that we found just generally useful, and it wasn't a huge lift for us to kind of employ. Some of the numbers associated with what we got in submissions. We got 168 submissions. That's nearly everyone on the CAMA side. We had 160 submissions on the parcel side. So, you know, like in terms of like compliance and people actually sending us data, this is great. We're doing really, really well in terms of like adhering to the schema, especially on the parcel side, since it was a new schema for that year. 120 people complying with that updated schema is fantastic, and I appreciate everybody involved for sending us the data in that format. It really helped in the kind of coalescing of the data into a single data set. So along with that, one of the things that we had to kind of do with the ARPA funds was to develop a grant to help improve parcel data. As you may or may not know, I think it might be closed by now or not, but there was an RFQ put on by CROG to you know, kind of distribute funds and get vendors on tap, so that they can kind of work with the COGs to sorry, going fast. To get this money and get the work done, to make sure that we improve the parcels throughout the state. Some of the criteria that we kind of employed was really, you know, make sure recency. If someone hasn't updated their parcels in a while, let's do that. Let's do that first. And then, you know, let's work on improving the CAMA parcel match rate. This is usually like condos and things like that. Secondary is, you know, make sure that we have the fields that are in the CAMA standard the kind of schema, rather, are as complete and have the right values in them. Let's make sure that the parcel to camera match rate is good. So, let's make sure we don't have a lot of slivers and other random things like that. And then, finally, once you kind of deal with these first few problems, then you can kind of move on into like the geometric, improving the general quality of the geometry of the parcels. Next topic is we were asked to do some legislative maps. So we did that. So these are all on our website. These are for the State House of Representatives and the State Senate, as well as the congressional districts. They have the list of every representative and therefore the current term. We will be updating those as we go along, and we currently have we have these as a pre-symbolized data set on the Geodata portal as well. The other thing that we did that recently completed is the Housing Data Hub version 2. So we updated this. We basically changed a lot of the underlying data to make it easier to update. And we also kind of changed the look and feel of the site, of the dashboard itself, to make sure that it looks and functions a little bit better, and the symbologies and the way that we present the data makes more sense. So there's a lot going on there. Some of the, like I said, there's a new backend workflow that makes it a lot easier to update the data. We also went and found updated data sets. We cleaned up the layout a lot. One of the other things is we were originally using Redfin data, but then we switched to Realtor.com data for that home page, mostly because the Realtor.com data API is a lot easier to work with, and it made it, a little bit better for, once again, maintenance. And then we also added a couple of individual maps to the application, namely the home value and the mortgage burden. Those are things that were just missing in the previous iteration of the map. And then we are currently in the process of updating the strategic plan as required by statute. We have to do, kind of minor direction change updates and, kind of revisit it on an annual basis. So, it's very constrained. We're wanting to keep things really, really simple. Mission and vision statements, going to look at them, but they probably won't change significantly. The strategic goals, we'll take a look at those. We'll do, we do have a, annual survey that we have. We'll have a meeting later on in March, and then we'll kind of, make sure that we have documented successes and update baseline for programs, and then make sure that we kind of look at and evaluate how generally kind of how are we doing along against our own goals. So that being said, here is the link to the survey. Feel free to kind of fill it out. We need to hear from you so that we can hear what the community would like us to prioritize and work on. And then, here, once again, we have the proposed document outline. It's all pretty straightforward. And then, so a little bit of looking forward here. We are starting the process of developing the 2025 data collections. There's very minor changes to the schema. The schema itself isn't changing. We're just adding a little bit of more specificity on one of the fields on the parcel side. The biggest change in this year is the way that we're collecting the data. We're going to have a better mechanism for getting the data from A to B, and we also are working to make the guidance information much more robust and clear for the submitters. Additionally, on addresses, we have a renewed effort to kind of improve, to create an improved data set. We're working with the School of Data Science on a project to help us kind of understand where some of the challenges and gaps are in the addresses. And we're generally just trying to really think through the process of like, what does an improved workflow? How do we get the data from the municipalities so that we can then make a better data set and maintain it? In terms of governance, we have a few governance docs that are in kind of various stages of review, primarily the ones on data publishing and parcel drafting. They're in slightly different places, but they should be being released for review, public review and comment soon. And then finally, DOT, so coordination and outreach. So one of the things that we did with the ARPA grants that we had was we helped fund DOT's right-of-way mapping efforts. So they are going to be more actively updating and digitizing the right-of-way mapping for state highways. We worked with them to make sure that this would be useful and that that they could make use of these funds. And so that's what we're doing there. Carl and Deava are really kind of ramping up the Water Resources Working Group among state agencies and stakeholders to make sure that we start developing the data for that and make sure that people have the information they need to make good decisions on water-related issues. And then finally, just a plug for the CT Eco webinar series that we are co-hosting with Yukon Clear. And we just had one where Durga Joshi talked about his vegetation data development, and we have many topics forthcoming. And so I think with that, I will stop my share and I will entertain questions.
Anyone have any questions for the GIO? We've got a lot of things in the hopper, it sounds like, and lots more to come out soon.
Yep.
Question in the box there, Alfredo.
Okay. That is a good question. Most of it is being published in Web Mercator right now, but the data downloads are all in Connecticut State Plain 2011. That is a point of discussion. We will discuss with Emily if there's enough demand to kind of create a secondary service.
Any other questions for Alfredo? Well, we know your time is valuable, his time is valuable, so we don't want to overstay anyone's welcome. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for participating. I want to thank all of our speaking guests today. I want to thank all of you, obviously, and to Sarah Morse and her team. Kudos to you guys, Rebecca Davis, for running the background. Thanks everyone, Mike for heading up the elections. It's a really great meeting. It was good to see everyone, even if it's virtually. And yeah, let's all get together and do this again in a couple months. So have a great weekend. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone. And if I could have the new committee members, steering committee members, and all steering committee members stick on for a meeting after, that'd be great. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your Valentine's Day.